The episode kicks off with a dramatic twist: Clark Kent's funeral. Yes, you read that right. There's a whole crowd mourning Clark, and who's watching the ceremony from a distance. Just as we're wondering what's going on, we flash back to a few days earlier, when Clark was alive and on the trail of a case that would soon spiral out of control. It all started when Clark was sent to interview Ernest Walker, a small-time crook with a big-time problem. He's been sitting on death row for a murder he swears he didn't commit, and Clark decides to get to the bottom of things before Walker's time runs out. Armed with the trial transcript, Clark starts piecing together what little evidence he can find. As Clark digs in, he stumbles upon a lead. The night of the murder, Walker ordered a pizza. Not exactly a rock-solid alibi, but it's a start. Clark heads to the old pizza joint, determined to track down records from 5 years back. And in a lucky break, he finds a computer backup showing that Walker's pizza was delivered just as the murder went down. That timing could prove Walker's innocence. Clark can't believe his luck. With this evidence in hand, he races to his car, set on getting to the governor's office to halt the execution. But just as he revs the engine in the underground parking lot, someone lurking in the shadows strikes, placing a bomb on Clark's car. Seconds later, it explodes, sending the car plummeting into the ocean. Clark barely manages to swim away, surviving the explosion. He can't fly to safety because there's a fisherman nearby who could see everything, so he has to play it safe. But now, with his evidence destroyed and his death making headlines, Clark is in a massive bind. Lois Lane and Detective Bowman arrive at the scene of the explosion, and as they take in the wreckage of Clark Kent's car, it's not looking good. Bowman is quick to conclude that Clark must be dead, especially after a fisherman steps forward as a witness, saying he didn't see anyone escape, just bubbles rising to the surface. But Lois isn't convinced. Something doesn't add up for her, and she suspects that Clark might just be lying low to avoid unwanted attention. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, Superman, as Clark, is deep in thought, sitting at the dining table, grappling with his situation. Now that the world thinks Clark Kent is dead, he realizes his life as Clark might truly be over, but he's still focused on clearing Walker's name. Even if revealing his identity becomes inevitable, he's determined to see justice done. Later, Superman returns to Clark's apartment, only to find Lois already there, hot on the trail, trying to piece together who would want Clark dead. Just as they're talking, though, things take a dangerous turn. A bomb has been planted. Reacting instantly, Superman grabs Lois and flies them both out of harm's way just as the explosion hits. Thinking quickly, he finds a massive water tank and uses it to put out the flames. And then, he spots Bowman lurking in the shadows, looking every bit as suspicious as he sounds. Superman is on high alert, ready to get to the bottom of this mystery. Lois Lane confronts Detective Bowman, the corrupt cop at the center of a dangerous conspiracy. She is onto him after connecting the dots between several strange coincidences surrounding Clark Kent's supposed death. Lois accuses Bowman of framing Walker for a crime he didn't commit, and even going as far as planting a bomb in Clark's car to eliminate the reporter when he got too close to the truth. Lois's sharp investigative skills lead her to discover a bug in Clark's phone, one identical to the wiretaps used by the police, something Bowman tries to brush off as a coincidence. She accuses him outright of murdering the woman and framing Walker for the crime, as well as setting fire to Clark's apartment to destroy evidence. Bowman threatens Lois with a libel lawsuit, but Lois reveals evidence, fingerprints on a piece of incriminating proof that could bring him down. Bowman attempts to resist and pushes Lois off the stairs, but thankfully Superman intervenes just in time, catching her before she falls. Bowman tries to make a getaway in a defense helicopter, firing multiple shots at Superman in an attempt to take him down. Just when it seems like Bowman has landed the final blow, Superman swoops in, takes control of the helicopter, and stops him cold. The police finally swoop in to arrest Bowman. As the execution countdown began, the governor, only there for the political photo op in the election year, was too late to stop the execution. It was the end of the line until Superman intervened. With the gas ready to release, Walker's life was hanging by a thread. Superman came crashing in, defying all odds, just inches from the deadly gas being released. With his superhuman strength, he tore through the execution chamber's mechanisms, shutting them down and saving Walker from certain death. Lois, still reeling from the loss of Clark, believing he was gone for good. But suddenly, the phone rang. Lois answered, but what followed sent her reeling. Clark was alive. She rushed to the hospital to see that he was okay. There he was, recovering in a hospital bed. They shared a moment of quiet understanding, and Lois couldn't help but crack a smile, the weight of their ordeal lifting. But the story didn't end there. The killer cop, Bowman, finally got what was coming to him. The crooked cop was executed, and the city breathed a collective sigh of relief. Somewhere in the shadows, a mysterious figure cloaked in what can only be described as witch-like garb stands before a control panel. The screen flickers, showing a peaceful garden view. Out of nowhere, a robotic ball zips through the sky and lands in the garden where Lois Lane is running. She spots the strange flying object, immediately sensing something's wrong. With no hesitation, Lois picks up the phone and calls the police, frantically reporting a bizarre thing from outer space. And she's not wrong. This thing quickly grows in size, transforming into a massive, destructive force, as the robotic ball sucks everything in its path into oblivion. Lois, caught in the chaos, finds herself in grave danger, but Superman isn't far behind. Having heard about the creature causing all the trouble, he arrives just in time to save Lois, flying into the fray to confront the monstrous machine. What follows is a high-octane battle between Superman and the robotic menace. The flying orb fires blasts of intense heat, trying to take down the Man of Steel, while Superman counters with all his might. The robotic ball proves to be no match for Superman, though, and it eventually explodes in a fiery blast. Behind this entire attack is Darkseid. The twisted Deadpool boasts that the Scream Machine has successfully gauged Superman's strength. The data gathered from this mechanical assault was meant to help build an ultimate weapon that could bring Superman down. But Darkseid isn't impressed, declaring that the experiment was a failure. Deadpool pleads for another chance, but Darkseid's cold dismissal is final. Enters Kalibak, the powerhouse son of Darkseid, is asking his father, hoping to prove himself worthy by taking down Superman. But Darkseid disagrees, making it clear that the Man of Steel's destruction is too critical to leave in Kalibak's hands. Kalibak, visibly disappointed, swallows his pride and agrees. Then, the ever-scheming Deadpool enters, seeing an opportunity to manipulate Kalibak's vulnerability. Deadpool plants the idea that Kalibak doesn't have to simply accept his father's rejection. He tempts him, hinting that if Kalibak were to take matters into his own hands and defeat Superman himself, he might finally gain the respect he's been seeking from Darkseid. Deadpool encourages him to go for it, convincing him that the glory would be his alone, and that he shouldn't even mention Deadpool's involvement. Kalibak falls right into Deadpool's trap, completely unaware that Deadpool's motives are far from pure. Clark's parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent, are chatting about the idea of buying a computer for the farm, while Jonathan dismisses it as unnecessary tech, much to Jonathan's bewilderment. As Lois explains how her writing process involves sending articles straight to her editor with a push of a button, Jonathan jokingly marvels at how much time that must save. Then, Lois is formally introduced to Jonathan and Martha, who instantly make her feel like part of the family. Invited for lunch, she gladly accepts, feeling right at home with the Kents. But before heading out, Clark is called by Perry White. Clark promises to catch up with them at the restaurant, and Lois reassures his parents that Perry's stern tone is just part of his unique charm. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant, the Kents and Lois are settling in when Kalibak suddenly crashes into the scene. He's on a mission to find Superman, and he's not subtle about it, sending tables and chairs flying as he tears up the place in search of his target. In the midst of the destruction, Jonathan bravely mutters that someone needs to put Kalibak in his place, but Martha is more concerned about keeping him safe. Perry, barking orders from the safety of the office, tells Kent to get down there and cover the story. But Clark has already made his transformation into Superman, swooping in to save the day. Spotting his parents amidst the wreckage, he quickly ensures they're okay before heading in to rescue Jonathan from the rubble. Superman spots Jonathan lying on the restaurant floor, pinned under a massive piece of debris from the earlier destruction. Just as he rushes in to save his father, Kalibak steps forward, blocking his path with a smug, menacing confidence. Their confrontation explodes into a brutal showdown, each blow shaking the room as Superman battles to keep Kalibak away from innocent people, especially his injured father. Deadpool watches the battle unfold on a monitor with an unsettling glee, but his enjoyment is cut short when Darkseid appears. Furious that Kalibak disobeyed his direct orders to stay off Earth, Deadpool scrambles, pretending he was about to report Kalibak's defiance, but Darkseid is unmoved. Kalibak's so-called birthright means nothing. As far as he's concerned, Kalibak is not, and never will be, his son. After an intense battle, Superman lands a powerful strike that leaves Kalibak severely wounded, his strength and arrogance shattered. The scene shifts to a quiet, green field, where Kalibak, weakened and desperate, finds himself face-to-face with Darkseid. Desperately, Kalibak tries to justify his disobedience, hoping his attempt to destroy Superman will somehow redeem him. But Darkseid's response is cold and merciless. Kalibak pleads for mercy, but Darkseid only hints that this punishment is just the beginning. Superman arrives, confused and outraged by Darkseid's cruelty. He demands answers from this menacing figure, but Darkseid meets him with a chilling introduction that leaves no doubt about his ruthless intentions. He warns Superman that Earth will one day submit to his rule, or face total destruction. And there you have it. a tangled web of lies, betrayals, and heart-pounding rescues, where no one is safe, not even Superman. With Darkseid casting his ominous shadow over Earth, we're left with a chilling question. Just how far will the Man of Steel go to protect his world from this ruthless tyrant? This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. So, who do you think is Superman's most dangerous enemy? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.